And welcome back to the last part of the SOLIDWORKS workshop for the SoccerBot chassis. So for this last video, what we're going to do is that we're going to put together all the parts that we made into an assembly. So when you open up SOLIDWORKS and you're going to click New Assembly, it's going to prompt you to put in a first piece first. And I want you to put in the SoccerBot chassis file that I gave right here. And what this does is that it basically makes it so that this part is fixed, and this is kind of like the basis of what you're going to build off of and attach things to. So if I try to click and drag on it, you can see that it says the selected component is fixed and it cannot be moved. But for these other parts, they can move. So next step is to put in the other parts that we made. So put in 2 motor holders and put in the battery bucket. And the way you do that is by going to this assembly tab right here and clicking insert components. After you've done that, you can start putting it all together. So how you do that is that you come to assembly tab right here again, and then you click mate. So what mating does is that I'm basically telling it how to attach the parts to each other. And for our purposes, we're only going to use the coincident mate. And this is a very basic use of the assembly in SOLIDWORKS. So I'll link more resources if you want to do more research on how to do more advanced mates. So for this, we are going to attach this motor holder first onto this chassis. So first, I'm going to attach the top of this to the bottom of this. Next, I am going to say that I want to attach this face to be coincident with this face. And basically what I've done right now is that I've attached this face to right here and this face to right here. And what that does is that it locks it into place. So you can see that I can move this in the Z direction, but I can't move it up and down or forward and backwards anymore like I can with this component. Because by mating those faces together, you essentially lock it into place. So the last mate I'm missing is to lock it in the Z axis. So I'll click mate again, and I'm going to mate this face to be coincident with this face right here. So you're going to be putting in some components, and it's good to have your components in the right orientation before you start making the mates, right? So for this motor holder, I know that I want it to be flipped around, right? I don't want it to be in the same orientation as this one right here. So to do that, you could just right-click the component and you could spin it to the right orientation before you start doing your mates. So now that I've spun it into the right orientation, I can start applying the same mates to this as I did to this. So click mate again. I want to attach the top of this to the bottom of this. Click check. I want to make this side coincident to this side. And for the last one, I want to make this face to be coincident with this face. And now you can see that for both motor holders, they're perfectly attached in the assembly to where I want them to be. And now you do the same thing for the battery bucket. So for the mate, I want to attach this face to this face to lock it in the x-axis. I want to attach this face to this face to lock it in the z-axis. And now for the last one, I'm going to just click X out here. So when I left click, I could actually drag it so that I could see the bottom face of this battery bucket. I'm going to click mate, and I'm going to attach this face to this face right here. And there you go. This is the almost complete version of the chassis. So the reason why I put in 2 of these motor holders instead of 4 and attaching it on this side is because you could do what you did when you're making a new part by mirroring things, so you don't have to do more work than you need to. So for example, for this part right here, I can create a new plane in the very middle of this and then mirror these motor holders on the other side so that it would be perfectly symmetric. So to do that, I could click reference geometry to make a new plane in this assembly tab right here. So I'll click plane. And then for the first reference, I'll just click right here. And I know that the very middle of this is going to be 49.75 millimeters. So I am going to change this to be 49.75 millimeters. And it's going to change to inches because I just don't have the metric units on right now. It says IPS on the bottom right, but it knows that this is the conversion from metric to inches. And then I'll flip its offset. So I have a plane that's in the very middle of it now. So next, I can then click down here, click mirror components. I'll click right here to show everything that's selectable. So the plane I want to mirror against is plane 1, and components I want to mirror is this motor and this motor holder. So click check, and there you go. This is the complete chassis assembly for the soccer bot.